Well, welcome. Hello, everybody.
Hi there.
I'm Reverend Jennifer Staples, and you are?
I'm Reverend Dr. Barry in Staples, and you can see my partner is here today.
I'm back.
I'm glad to see you.
I'm glad to be seen.
Give me some right here.
All right.
All right. We are, of course, Reverend Dr. Barry Staples, Reverend Jeremy Staples, and you are welcome to our podcast. This episode is something we're going to hope to bring to you today to talk about this particular situation.
Race and cultures, bridging the divides.
And the subject matter is Epstein files.
Mm.
Then you're going to hear something about we will kill them, so on and so forth. But just say I'm glad that you're here today and that you are just part of what we're trying to put out into the world to deal with race and cultures, bridging the divides. And of course, we are woke. Oh, we are woke to the subjects today.
I'm woke too.
You want to read to them what woke really means?
Oh, well, it has several meanings. You hold yours up, I'll just read. How's that?
Okay, you read. Okay.
Woke is a badge of honor, knowledge, and wisdom. Also, it is to have or be marked by an active awareness of systemic injustices and prejudice.
And racism.
Especially those related to civil and human rights.
That's something.
It also means wise, open-minded, kind, empathetic.
Well, what's most important?
It means the opposite of asleep.
That's right. So people have taken that term woke and twisted into something negative. Basically what it is, when people say that they're woke, what people are saying, we don't want them to tell the truth about history. People trying to erase us.
Don't be awake to the reality, just stay asleep.
When I say us, I'm talking about any form of Black history. Some people use the term African American history. I mean, I'm good with both, but I typically refer to things as being Black, and I respect in terms of African American also, and Native American, and let me be specific: the nations of the Cherokee, the nations of the Iroquois, the nations of the Apache, the nations of the Blackfoot, the nations of the Cree, the nations of the Crow, the nations of the Huron. You get the message. All the people that were already here, and no Christopher Columbus ever set foot in this country to discover something that was already here. He never ended up in America, but we talked about that in another episode. So today, there's a lot of things that are going on. We're going to, first of all, always be mindful of this here. 2 Timothy 3:13. Jennifer, what does that say?
But evil men and impostors will grow worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived.
Keep in mind those two words, deceiving and being deceived. You know, we talk about don't fall for the okie doke. And that's from Chicago talk. We used to talk about that. In other words, don't let someone just tell you something you're supposed to believe it just because they say it. No, they stole the election or whatever the case might be. You have to be woke to these things because, and I've been showing this since 2 weeks ago about the situation with what that text really means. 2 Timothy 13, it talks about evil men and imposters. We're seeing that all over. Jennifer, real quickly, just what are those 4 or 5 bullets?
Deception. The verse highlights that evil people and imposters will not only deceive others, but will also be deceived themselves. This can include being misled by their own lies or the deceptive systems they create. And then the second one is escalation. It suggests a progression from bad to worse, meaning that the wickedness of these individuals will increase over time. Contrast, the warning is immediately followed by a call for Timothy to abide thou in the things which thou hast learned and hast been assured of. This encourages believers to stay firm in the faith and the truth that they have been taught, which is seen as a source of divine wisdom and guidance. And lastly, context. This verse is part of a larger passage, verses 13 through 17, that contrasts the worsening state of evil men with the enduring power of Scripture, which is described as inspired by God and profitable for teaching, correction, and instruction.
And let me just share with you that whole scenario regarding the contrast. This here contrast, that is so important because Timothy was going off into Ephesus and Corinth, and he was delivering the word. Paul had taught him. He was a student of Paul. But what is important is that he was giving truth, that he was giving knowledge, and to encourage people that believe to stay firm in the truth that they have been taught. So in other words, some people out there, I'm just going to call it out. We have a president and we have an administration that's trying to give us the okie doke, giving us deception, telling us things. The release of the Epstein files, and we'll share with that in a few minutes. My goodness, it was released. Everybody wanted to release. It was like just getting the blank sheet of paper. There's trying to cover up his involvement with his friend for years, Jeffrey Epstein. And so I just want to dive into that and not sugarcoat it because, and I'm going to continue. Both of us are ordained pastors, and I would be remiss not to include something that deals with our background that we both have in terms of preaching and teaching and trying to bring truth to people. So what does this all mean?
Well, I'm going to say that, my goodness, if you have nothing to hide, then don't hide it.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
So let's look and see what Chris Hayes, he did a really nice piece dealing with this whole Epstein files. And remember, we are racing cultures, bridging the divides. And I just want to share with you that like and subscribe to this channel. Up in the corner, there's a QR code. You can scan that if you want to donate. It's a nonprofit organization. And here's our website, Racing Cultures, Bridging the Divides, the same name.com. So I'm glad that you're here today. I just want to spend a few minutes and let you see what has been reported by this individual, Chris Hayes.
Ultimately, none of that worked. The law passed both houses, mandated by law for Donald Trump's Department of Justice to release the Epstein files. All of them, basically unredacted. And we got a release.
Behind him
enormous
is what it looks like. Look at all those black pages.
Which is not surprising. It is a law that they fought at every single opportunity, from shutting the entire House of Representatives down for months to not swearing in a duly elected member so she couldn't sign the discharge petition, to at the last minute browbeating their own allies like Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, who was brought into the Situation Room. And ultimately, none of that worked. The law passed both houses. Donald Trump was forced into signing it clearly against his will. And so today, on the day of the deadline, they have released some and only some of the documents that they were required by that law to release. Thousands of documents, including scores of photographs of Epstein's properties, including massage rooms, along with photos of young women and vacation locales, and notably former President Bill Clinton. Now, we should note here, these are all just photos. We don't know the context in which any of them are taken.
Pay attention to this.
President Clinton appears in several photos alongside Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and redacted persons. In one image, Clinton appears with a redacted woman sitting on his lap. You just saw that. In another, he is with a redacted person in a jacuzzi. In response, President Clinton's spokesperson released a statement reading in part, quote, "The White House hasn't been hiding these files for months, only to dump them late on a Friday to protect Bill Clinton. This is about shielding themselves from what comes next or from what they'll try and hide forever." It certainly does appear that photos of many other men have been blacked out.
Look at this. These are the files.
Entire documents, like the one you see here, completely blacked out. And not just documents. Faces are blacked out, but not always consistently. DOJ said they blacked out the faces of victims and minors, which I think everyone agrees and the law requires them to do. They also appear to be some grown men whose identities are obscured. And get this. Sources tell Fox News that more than a dozen politically exposed people and government officials' names appear in the hundreds of thousands of pages of Jeffrey Epstein files made public Friday. And in addition to protecting the victims' identities, Fox reported that the same redaction standards were applied to politically exposed individuals and government officials. If that is true, it is illegal, flatly. The federal law at issue, the one that has brought us to this point, is clear. The Department of Justice cannot redact information solely because its release might harm an individual's reputation. And if they did redact politically exposed individuals, why did they release more than a dozen photos and documents relating to Bill Clinton?
Very good point.
I think we know, right? We're not idiots. In fact, he seems to appear more than any other public figure, including in this social media post by a White House spokeswoman suggesting the media investigate Clinton's well-documented encounters with Epstein. Now, Donald Trump's relationship with Epstein is well documented. We have all seen pictures of the two men together. We all remember the quote that he gave the reporter who wrote a profile Epstein about how much he loves women and how they're on the younger side. And we all know about the birthday card. Donald Trump denies writing it and sued about it, but the one where he talks about them having secrets and age being nothing but a number.
And he signed his name in
Donald
the
Trump hardly appear in the
region
documents
of
except
the
in
woman
one
that
photo we've all seen on the desk of Epstein's? Do you think that's an accident when it was his Justice Department who was going through them? I mean, we don't know. We do know this isn't all the Epstein files. In fact, today the DOJ admitted that they are, again, flatly violating the law, violating tonight's deadline, releasing files willy-nilly in the coming weeks. But is it willy-nilly? How did they select these files for today's release? Remember, earlier this year, the DOJ ordered an internal review that had FBI workers working around the clock, flagging Donald Trump's name, telling Donald Trump he's in the files, according to the Wall Street Journal.
We get the point, don't we?
It's pretty interesting. Why did they choose to release all those photos of Bill Clinton first?
Well,
I wonder, because perhaps they just want to keep it fresh in your mind, the very beginning. Usually, whatever is shown to you first is going to be the lasting. Whether it's first or last, anything in the middle, you tend to forget.
The primacy effect.
You cannot deny now that you've seen Bill Clinton with Epstein and all of those photos in those files. Now, general public is going to say, yeah, it's not Trump, it's Clinton.
Well, it's not just Trump, it's also Bill Gates, it's other people, even Michael Jackson,
Woody Allen,
all these other people.
You know what? I say burn them all.
It's distraction. if you are guilty,
guilty.
The whole point, this is incredible. The whole issue deals with these young women, young girls that have been hurt. So when we talk about race and cultures, I want us to try to understand when I mention the word culture, what am I talking about here? I think that we all need to understand that what is culture? So what kind of culture do we want to have? Definition of culture. Learn traditions, principles, and guides of behavior that are shared among members of a particular group. Now think about this. Codes of behavior, values. What kind of behavior, codes of behavior did Epstein have? What kind of culture do we live in right now, Jennifer? What kind of culture are we creating for our children and our grandchildren? And we have great-grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
So learn traditions, principles. Do we want people to think that it's okay to learn how to abuse girls, children? Is that an okay thing to do? What kind of culture do we want? Any idea? What kind of culture do you want?
I want one that gives peace and love, respect.
Okay. You're not looking at the world through rose-colored glasses, are you?
Oh, this is what I want. Doesn't mean that's the culture that we live in.
Yes, and I really think that the culture we live in is I was thinking a couple weeks, my grandmother's always said, I'm sick and tired And I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of what's going on in this country. Last episode, we talked about common sense.
That's not common.
No, but okay. Mother wit. Everybody use your brain. I just shared with Jennifer this morning about a person that I was beginning to have the respect for, and they are a follower of this man. Regardless of your beliefs, just use common sense. Do you really want to look up to a person that does the things that this person does? I mean, there were his last administration, they counted all the misinformation, basically the lies that he said. Someone said the other day, if his lips are moving, and Navarro said, if his lips are moving, he's not telling the truth.
That's so true.
And so I mean, this is not political. It has to do with character.
Yeah.
It has to do with character. And if people, whoever they are, messing with these little kids, with Jeffrey Epstein, then they should be held accountable. Of course, you has a president that says accountability is a hoax, because he never had to be accountable for anything, and people are still letting him get away with things.
Yeah.
So here we have culture, and one of the things I want to also get into is the racism that he does. He's creating scenarios where only people should come to this country are people from European countries where no black or brown people are admitted. He's actually put that in writing that we don't want Somalians here. We don't want to have anybody that of any color, and that'll be followed up in a few minutes by the talk. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about a concept of assimilation and acculturation. So a lot of times people get these two words mixed up, interchangeable. I'm just going to be real smooth about it in terms of assimilation is a more extreme form of cultural change and involves complete adoption of the dominant culture as well, just like acculturation. I'm just say it like this: assimilation, and what gives this away is this is often demanded of a new immigrant to a society. When we think of the immigrant, we think about those people that were Irish, that were German, whatever, that came here, that they could all assimilate. A person could come from Germany or come from Sweden, and if you don't want a person to know that you were German, you had blonde hair and blue eyes, you can say, no, I'm Swedish. Oh, okay, well, you can assimilate. The difference in assimilation is people of color cannot assimilate, but yet they were told about acculturation, and that is adopting the process of the dominant culture or cultures. So you saw it with the reservation situation in the Trail of Tears, especially with my maternal grandparents and great grandparents with the Trail of Tears, that those people were placed in reservations, and they were to learn the culture of the dominant culture, which was the white culture, and forget about the culture of their own nation, of the Cherokee or the Apache.
Acculturation is basically learning how to live in another culture without rejecting your own culture.
Well,
and assimilation is more extreme, where you're really kind of rejecting your own culture.
Well, assimilation is being able to blend in with those people of the dominant culture. However, when you have melanin in your system, people look at you, and that's what the United States want to put people in racial groups, and they want them to, for example, I mentioned before, my fraternity brother was from India. He was 5 shades darker than I am, but his classification was white. Because people wanted, because of his physical bone structure and hair and all that stuff, he was given that category. Assimilation is blending in, physically, but it's not, because the United States always wants to put people in racial categories. We have a president that just lives that.
Yeah.
He talks about, that all people from other countries in Africa and so on and so forth, and I won't use this word, but come from those are poopo uh, countries. You can fill in feces whole countries, manure whole country. That's, I won't say his word, and that's how he looks at people. So he doesn't care if they want to acculturate, and a lot of people have acculturated.
I thought you were choosing, creating a new word.
Oh, well,
That was
yeah,
funny.
yeah, I know. But so here we are. I just want to lead up to that because when we still dealing with the Epstein files, we're talking about culture. We're talking about people that they blend in to with the Epstein. The rich and the famous, the political, connections. That's another culture. That's another culture. People accepted that culture, molesting girls and little kids. So I just want to really try to zero in on that so you have an understanding of what's going on. So part of what I've been talking about here with him is that we've been looking at things that he expresses, and it comes in the terms of prejudice and racism. So prejudice is, Jennifer, jump in anytime.
Devaluing or looking down on a group, individual because of its assumed behaviors, values, capabilities, or attributes.
So a person that's prejudiced just has rigid beliefs about people, and they assume, that's a key word, assume behaviors and values and capabilities or attributes of a group of people. That is, they assume that they, without having
either through their own experiences or through what they've heard.
Yeah. So some people don't like certain people. That doesn't mean they're racist.
Right.
And that's what people they get the words acculturation and assimilation wrong, and they get the words racist wrong with prejudice. Because and I talked about Merck's typology of prejudice and racism before. But racism, Jennifer.
Belief that some groups are inherently divine, inferior to others, and therefore should be dominated by others, presumably inherently divinely superior groups.
What does that sound like? What's going on right now?
It sure does.
What's it called? White Christian nationalism.
Right.
So white Christian nationalism is racism.
Yeah.
They believe that God is giving them that inherent belief that other people are divinely inferior to them.
Yep.
And people have twisted scripture. That's why we decided to add scripture sometimes to things. Also in 2 Timothy, it's also talked about come and learn and rightly divide the word of truth. But when a person has racist tendencies, they're telling us that God is telling them to not like these people. You have a place right now for whites only. We went to a place a couple weeks ago, last weekend, when we were kind of off, not off mentally, but just off physically gone somewhere. My goodness, I felt like I was in one of those communities. It was bougie. That was another culture. I speak French. Bourgeois means the elite class, but these people, to break it down, bougie. They had it all going on, and the racism hits me when I'm in environments like that. So I think that we need to understand that white Christian nationalism is truly racism. They feel that God is telling them to do the terrible things that they do and that they believe in.
It could also be considered white privilege.
Okay, that's a very good way of looking at it. That is white privilege.
So I'm privileged because I'm white, and I get to do this because I'm white, and I have all these opportunities because I'm white.
Wow. I think one of the things I like to just kind of piggyback off of that, and growing up the way I grew up, of course, I can't assimilate. Some people look at me, they don't see all the concepts of my family and my lineage. They just put me as being black.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore I'm denied a lot of things. Even though, I've been able to go and get my education and go different places, but every day, Jennifer, I'm reminded that I'm black. You and I talked about that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Remember what you told me to do a few weeks ago? Put in my car.
Oh, I didn't tell you to put in your car. I said I need to know where your birth certificate is. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what did you want me to do with it? You said I should carry it with me in my car. I remember that.
Yeah, that's in case you get pulled over and you need to prove that you're a U.S. citizen.
And even then, and just like ironically, a few days after that, I was going down the street and there was a police car way across on the other side. In other words, they didn't have to jump from them going, the cars going the other direction, jump over cars. I was going the up one direction. That policeman got behind me and started running my plates. And I'm up here thinking, wait a minute, I'm not driving a Mercedes or nothing. I'm driving a little Nissan. And then he jumped over another lane in front of these other cars, put his cherries on. Well, I was being profiled. Being profiled, just like that. So we have a whole thing with Epstein. We have a president that's doing all kinds of things, blowing people up in the water. No proof of drugs on any of those boats. Those are fishermen boats.
This is just murder.
It's murder.
It's just murder.
That's
all it is.
My goodness. So as we deal with culture, we're dealing with Epstein, and we're dealing with a president that believes in doing all these things against other people. So where are we at right now? I think that I want us to hear from the man himself. Let's see what he thinks.
With Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18.
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm
This
going
is
to have to assert
deposition
my Fifth,
in 2010.
16th, 14th Amendment right, sir.
He's been knowing Donald Trump for decades. That was in 2010. They were friends. These are the kind of things they've been trying to scrub the Epstein files of, his pictures with Epstein, but they're going to.
Have you ever had a personal relationship with Donald Trump?
By showing Bill Clinton.
What do you mean by personal relationships?
Have you socialized with him?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Listen to this answer.
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my Fifth, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
That's the cover up and the protection.
Shocking new details have emerged from the partial DOJ releases, documents and images from the Jeffrey Epstein investigations, revealing what many believe the Department of Justice and former Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi tried to hide, including photos of Donald Trump in controversial situations with women. On December 19, 2025, the DOJ released thousands of documents and hundreds of images under the Epstein Files Transparency Act. But critics warn much of it is heavily redacted, and some of the most sensitive material has been withheld. Yet, despite these efforts, some photos seem to have slipped through the cracks, showing Trump in situations that raised questions and leaving many to wonder why the DOJ and Bondi may have moved to protect him from backlash. The release also includes images and materials linked to Epstein's operations, including rooms and spaces in his properties, highlighting the environment in which he operated. Binders of CDs and hard drives labeled with suggestive titles,
Makes me really sad.
indicating a large
You're
collection
seeing
of
all these
material
women
under
that obviously
investigation.
look
Redacted documents and
teenagers.
passports,
Yes.
hinting at possible international connections. And then there are the images of celebrities, including Trump, seen in photos with others in
Oh, wow.
situations that
girl.
fueled speculation about who else may have been involved and who the DOJ may have sought to protect. While no smoking gun evidence of illegal activity by Trump or other high-profile figures emerged in this release, the photos that remain have ignited political
Yeah.
controversy
They're gonna
and
show
raised
'em in the
questions
act.
about transparency and
Right.
accountability in the handling of the Epstein files. As more documents are expected
That
and
one
more
woman,
images could
the
come to
second out of the
light,
picture,
the
she
nation
looks like
watches closely
she could be
to
Pam
see what
Bondi.
else may be revealed about the connections, the cover-ups, and the figures who may have tried to keep it all hidden.
Amazing. But they want us all to look at Bill Clinton. But you saw it was more than Bill Clinton. You saw Trump
Hey,
there.
my thought is, if you were associated with this guy, you
Get by association.
yes, you had to know at least something about him that seemed off.
Yeah, because he
And it's you have to know who you're hanging out with. Right?
I
You
think
have to
Bert
know,
well,
or don't hang out with them.
no, I go back to simple. Birds of a feather flock together.
Oh, my. So you saw Bill Clinton, you saw Woody Allen, you saw
Bannon.
Steve Bannon, you saw Bill Gates, you saw and who else is famous?
And that's just a few.
But they're, I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. If you are associated with him, you are guilty by association. You need to be questioned. You need to be brought in and deposed. We need to figure out what is going on.
What's
Lie
going on?
detector test. We need something.
Well, Marvin
That's
Gaye,
the only way you're going to get to the
Marvin
bottom
Gaye,
of it.
Marvin Gaye told us, brother, what's
Mhm.
going on? And that's what we need to be able to ascertain from this.
Mhm.
Something is going on. And they've had these files, they've been scrubbing these files.
Mhm.
Use your common sense, folks. This man is involved with Epstein. They have been friends. And
For like what, over 20 years? They
Yeah.
were friends?
yeah, and think about this. This man has actually said about his own daughter, Ivanka, if she wasn't my daughter, I'd date her.
Yeah, sickening.
And then there's other physical things that
Yeah.
has been visualized that he has done with, I mean, it's just nuts. Use common sense. And then what's his other daughter's name? Is it Tiffany?
Yeah.
And things that he said about her when she was
Mm-hmm.
just a little baby, that about her development, he referred to her some anatomy of her, and she was just a baby.
Yeah.
I'm not making any of this stuff up. I tell people all the time, do your own research and try to get into the way he thinks and the way he behaves.
Mhm.
And I'm going to close out, not right now, but I'm going to close out a little bit by what Jasmine Crockett is spelling out for it. We're dealing with the man who deals with cover-ups, and then we're dealing with another situation, how he looks at people of color, people that are immigrants, so on and so forth. Jasmine Crockett does a great job here of trying to help us understand this.
President Trump has made it clear that he only opposes lawful immigration when non-white people immigrate to the United States. His immigration agenda isn't about public safety or economic stability or jobs. It's about racism. It was racist during his first administration. It's racist now. And like his first administration, he's hired a bunch of racists to carry it out. In fact, I'm gonna pause here really quickly. I know we're talking about TPS, But I don't know if anyone else
Temporary
has mentioned
protected
the fact that
status.
ICE agents were
People
literally
given-
dragging a pregnant woman just this week in a viral video. So don't tell me that this isn't about cruelty, because it is. Moving on. The president is now on record admitting to calling majority Black and brown nations, quote,
Listen.
shithole countries.
That's the
He
word.
consistently refers to Black and brown people as, quote, low IQ, stupid, or nasty. His agenda is about one thing: giving racial preference to specific people seeking to immigrate to America, which is illegal and unconstitutional. But nevertheless, they are going to keep trying to get y'all to believe that immigrants are the cause of all your problems. But here's the truth. Immigrants are not responsible for a billionaire CEO refusing to increase your wage. The corporation you work for isn't replacing your job with artificial intelligence because of Haitian refugees. Your landlord isn't increasing your rent because someone who's fleeing gang violence in Central America moved into your community. A Palestinian kid who was afforded a scholarship to study at an American university isn't responsible for your child's tuition increasing. Latino farm workers aren't responsible for prices of your groceries increasing. Let's be clear, blaming migrants and deporting migrants and ending TPS won't improve the lives of most Americans. As you can see, we're in the middle of the largest, most inhumane deportation program in American history. And guess what? Housing is still unaffordable, healthcare is still too expensive, groceries are still too expensive, wages aren't keeping up with inflation, jobs are still being outsourced. So maybe it's not the immigrants. Maybe it's the failed Republican policies. In my state of Texas, the Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the governor's mansion. In the United States, the Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the White House. Maybe it's the fact that Republicans would rather give permanent tax cuts to billionaires, but won't even give middle-class Americans temporary health care benefits. Maybe it's the fact that President Trump has the wealthiest cabinet in American history, and these people are out of touch with the American public. Now, Mr. Williams, will ending TPS help or hurt the finishing trades industry your union members work in?
It will hurt the construction industry as a whole.
Let me tell you this, or let me ask you this, this ain't in here. Has it already hurt the construction industry?
It has, because of the fear and uncertainty.
There's a lot of fear. There are workers that are not showing up to their jobs, regardless of their status, because of how immigration is being carried out under this administration. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Will ending TPS help or hurt job site safety?
It will hurt job site safety.
Will ending TPS help or hurt affordability in our communities?
It will hurt affordability in our community.
Exactly. As people are complaining about the fact that housing is up, you've got to think about what those input costs look like. Those input costs, besides the fact that he's been reckless and ridiculous and not been reined in as it relates to the tariffs, and we know that we get a lot of lumber out of Canada. We want to fight with Canada. We want to fight with Mexico. And then we want to tell people that have come here and are going through the process, and I'm not going to say that any process is perfect, but the last time that I checked, Republicans continue to offer us concepts of a plan instead of actual plans because they would rather campaign on the chaos instead of fixing it. Listen, none of us sitting here, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, wants to be unsafe in our country. I want to be clear. I don't want a criminal in my neighborhood either. But going after all of these countries, when we talk about, it looks like they want to end TPS for Burma and El Salvador and Ethiopia and Haiti and Lebanon and Somalia and South Sudan and Syria. They actually do have, Ukraine got extended a little bit and Yemen got extended a little bit. But the vast majority of these countries, there's one thing in common. A lot of those people from those countries have a little bit of melanin in their skin. With that, I will yield.
Interesting.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
That is so powerful.
Yeah.
Temporary protection status.
Mm-hmm.
It's for people coming in this country, giving status to work, like he said, working in those fields. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting about it?
You know, what some white people might think is helping to protect our country is actually going to be the downfall. To me, that's just an interesting concept. to wrap my brain around that.
Well, you have a
I
president that uses that word all the time. He has a concept of something.
Yeah.
I don't know. He doesn't even have a concept of critical thinking. But go ahead.
Yeah. Well, he has no concepts.
Yeah.
He just says he does. Put it in writing.
Yes. The thing that's really interesting about here, as we look at the Epstein files, as we look at the history of this country, we look at the different cultures, and we look at race, and we look at all the political actions. One thing that is so missing here is that people have forgotten one thing. They've forgotten about the concept of what is written that I follow. I follow this, understanding this. And this is what's happening, is that in the book of John, it's talking about what is happening out there. The thief does not come except to steal and kill and destroy. I'm telling you, these billionaires and Trump, they come to steal, kill, and destroy all the people, the good people, the taxpayers that are getting things. People talk about how they voted for him, and they can't even pay their rent. They can't afford things. This man doesn't care anything. He is that thief that came to steal and destroy. What do you think, Jen?
Well, I sat with a client of mine 2 days ago.
Hold that thought. But if we believe in a real person like our Savior, he said, I've come that you may have life, that we'll have it more abundantly. That's why can't a leader believe in doing those things? He doesn't do it. But go ahead, Jen.
So now I sat with the client discussing insurance, Medicare insurance, a couple days ago, and her question is, what's going to happen to this plan? What happens if our current administration decides before the end of 2026 that they're no longer going to offer these? I said, well, ma'am, I said, it's a contract that we have to offer this for the full year. And she's like, I'm really concerned. She goes, I know I voted for that man, but I just don't know what's going to happen. And I said, well, one thing is for certain, we all need insurance. And then I just moved on. And because I don't get into the habit of discussing politics with my clients, because let's face it, I could lose a lot of clients if I really got into it with them. But it just wasn't the time to discuss it. But it just amazed me. Is like, here she is. You voted for this administration, and now you're worried because you're worried that it's going to affect you.
Is that what you want to tell her? That what you just said?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the problem we have. I hear people constantly all the time supporting this person, and
Marjorie Taylor Greene is another one.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
It was all good for her until she realized it was affecting her family.
Now he called her Marjorie Brown Trader Green. You know how green turns into brown. That's his nasty nature.
He's just disgusting. He's a disgusting human being.
He will throw you under the bus if you don't agree with him.
Yeah.
And she's finding out.
Yeah.
And I can tell.
FAFO.
That's another word.
Fudge around and find out.
There you go. She cleaned it. You cleaned it up good. Now, we both have a hard time dealing with profanity, and that's what happened when I received my call. Is that those kind of words were stripped from me, well, wait a minute. Sometimes we goof around.
We strive not to.
Yes, we goof around and say things.
Those words.
But what does he really feel? You heard Jasmine Crockett talk about how he's excluding Black and brown people from wanting to come to this country. But we saw he allowed 59 families coming in from South Africa, white South Africans, allegedly talking about being subjected to violence or something in South, a country that spent decades when apartheid hurting the Black Afrikaners over there. And all of a sudden, these white Afrikaners are going to say they've been getting mistreated, just like mistreat that the black Afrikaners in South Africa went through for all these years, coming under assistance to stop apartheid by Kirk, the president of South Africa, and working with Nelson Mandela, wrongfully sent to prison for over 30 years. Can I get a witness? Huh? But let's listen to this man and his words, what he really thinks about you.
Our sea drugs, as they call them, they use the term sea drugs, the drugs coming in by sea, are like 5% of what they were a year ago, less than 5%.
He never knows statistics.
So now they're coming in by land. And even the land is concerned because I told them that's going to be next. You know, the land is going to be next. And we may go to the Senate, we may go to the, Congress and tell them about it. But I can't imagine they'd have any problem with it. I think, in fact, while we're here, I think it's a good idea, Pete. You go to Congress, you tell them about it. What are they going to do? Say, gee, we don't want to stop drugs pouring in? I don't see any lawsuit going. No reason not to. They'll always complain, oh, we should have gone. So we're going to definitely, I'd like to just tell you, let's go. We'll go. We're going to tell them what we're going to do, and I think they're going to like it, except
no due process.
Left lunatics.
We're going to kill them.
And Mr. President, if you are declaring war against these cartels and Congress is likely to approve of that process, why not just ask for a declaration of war?
Well, I don't think we're going to necessarily ask for a declaration of war. I think we're just going to kill people that are bringing drugs into our country. Okay? We're going to kill them. They're going to be like dead.
Oh, my.
Okay. Yeah.
They're just going to be like dead.
Now you guys understand what my point of it is. He doesn't care anything about due process. We're going to kill him, which leads me to some other thinking here. We know Jeffrey Epstein died. He was locked up in a prison.
He was murdered.
Another murder, just like the boats from Venezuela. These people are being murdered, and you heard him say,
these fishermen,
we'll just kill them. I talked about stochastic terrorism. That is the concept also where people say certain things that promote action toward other people. They don't do it, but other people do it. It's like a mafia here, and that's how he talks. We'll kill them. No, he's not going to kill them. He said we. He's going to send people like Stupid Hexeth and all these other people out and try to throw an incredible long-term military officer under the bus. Jeffrey Epstein, I really feel, was murdered. Matter of fact, the first...
Even his brother feels that way.
Mark does. The first person that examined Epstein said that this is consistent with the homicide. Trump got his old boy in there and said, well, no, it was a suicide. But the first assessment was this was a homicide. And I showed a video regarding what happened in the lead up to his death and how there was figures going in and out of his jail cell area. And then even this made up the way the noose was, the hanging contraption was, didn't even fit with how a person would do that. People have died dealing with this man and around this man. You heard him say it, we'll kill them.
Well, it sounds to me like
we have to be woke.
Yeah, we have to be woke. We've been talking about a lot of depressing things today. And
yes,
we don't bring these up for you to be depressed. In fact, I think I know a lot of people that I'm friends with just don't even pay attention anymore to any of this. The reason why is because it's so overwhelming and it's so depressing. Yes. And all they can do is do what they have to do, whether it's getting up and going to work in the morning, paying their bills, taking care of their kids. They're doing everything that they can do to survive. And they don't want to hear all this noise anymore because it's just too overwhelming and it's too depressing. But the reason why I'm saying this is because, yes, it can be, but we have to be woke. because that's the only thing that's going to help change our nation and change the people that's involved in leading our nation, is to be woke and to fight against it. And how are we going to fight against it? We're going to have peaceful protests. Those work. We're also going to go to the polls and we're going to vote.
That's right.
Do I think Democrats are perfect? No. And I think the reason why we're in this situation today is partially because of the Democrats. Nobody is perfect, and there is no perfect party.
What do you mean partially?
Because of how far they've gone, that there's been a lot of pushback for more conservative values. So I believe that the Christians, the conservative Christians, felt like our country was going too far to the left and giving too many this and too many that.
But that's under assumption. This country was not founded under Christian principle.
No, I know that. I'm talking about the evangelical Christians were the large majority of those who voted for this man in office. They're responsible for their vote, and I believe that they need to be woke. And they need to get out of their Christian nationalism, because there is no.
Because this man tried to tell them,
yeah,
because he ran on this the first time, talked about being anti-abortion, kind of thing. But
he doesn't care about.
But the same man who talked about dating his own young daughter, Ivanka.
If you think Trump cares anything about children, why is he dismantling the Department of Education?
Yes. And
he doesn't care.
And then if he cares so much about, stopping immigration, his wives were not born in the United States. Mm-hmm. None of them. Look at Melania. How did she end up getting through all this immigration stuff? And people quiet as kept. Who introduced him to Melania? Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
She was also involved with it's a big mess. There's a huge cover up, and what I'm saying ends in agreement with what you're saying, that we can't allow ourselves to be depressed and be mad and angry or violent. We don't believe in that. I do feel that we have an obligation to keep trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And what our Christian ethics tell us, to do the right thing all the time, do the right thing, and in the right way. Mm-hmm. And so that's what we have to do. We have to, seek higher ground. Mm-hmm. Michelle Obama talked about when they go low, we go high kind of thing.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta.
Are you gonna do Kenny Rogers? Fight to be a man?
Sometimes you just have to do what you have to do.
But do it righteously.
Yeah.
Righteously.
Yeah.
Remember this. In the eyes of the Lord are the righteous, and his ears are attentive to their prayer. But the face of the Lord is against those who do evil. Mm-hmm. That's word right there. Yeah. So we must look to do righteous things, and we will always look at race and culture. And remember, when we talk about culture, we're also looking at the subcultures of things that are going on. Well, remember, we are racing cultures, bridging the divide. We'd like for you to subscribe and like our channel, and go to our website and read a little bit more about us and about me. And remember that we are a nonprofit, so you can feel free to just donate. We use that funds to help others.
And this is our last show before Christmas.
Oh, yes.
So I just wanted to take this opportunity to wish you all a Merry Christmas. And I hope you all have a safe and a very happy New Year. And
we may be...
don't fall asleep. Stay woke.
Stay woke.
Stay woke, Val.
Okay, I'm woke. And we may have a kind of a different type of episode during this Christmas break in a special situation. remote, in a different remote situation. I won't tell you where, but it's all legal. So we'll try to get another episode done in a different way around these holidays. But I agree. Have a Merry Christmas. And we do pray for a better year in 2026.
Yeah.
Thank you all for joining us today. And Lord willing, we will see you again soon.
All right. Have a good day, y'all.
Peace.
Bye.